Welcome to Web Handling. My name is Dave Roysam. I am super excited to continue our new series called War Stories. This second story is again about trim chutes, but the lessons learned go far beyond those small but essential converting elements. I know your time is precious, so let's get started. Recall that a war story is a memorable personal experience that we might learn from. We are guided by the saying that the smart person learns from their own mistakes, but the wise person learns from the mistakes of others. In this trim chute story, we learn two things. First, that just because you buy it does not necessarily mean that you should use it. Second, we really need to listen to other people. Perhaps you might even find other learnings. To understand this story, we need a tiny bit of background first. That background is the two most common ways to design the inlet to a pneumatic trim system that removes edge trim. Paper mills typically have extremely demanding designs for the inlet as shown in schematic in brown. See the last show, Web30130c, for a more complete description, though that's not necessary to understanding this story. In contrast, the much bigger converting industry typically just has a simple opening formed by cutting a flexible tube to length and positioning it some distance away from the cut point as shown in blue. A brand new slitter rewinder was installed in a paper mill. However, the trim chutes did not work. Specifically, the trim would jump out of the chute and shut the winder down. After giving the builder plenty of chances to fix the chutes, the mill gave up and called me in. After trying to make the chutes work, I also gave up, or more specifically, ran out of ideas to try with the existing chute. So I suggested that we bypass the trim chute, go over the after slitter roll, and into a duct a couple of feet away. This is how the much larger converting industry more commonly handles trim. Of course, there's often little or no communication between industries, even if they have similar equipment and issues. However, I got immediate pushback from the maintenance manager. First, he had not been to converting plants and thus was not familiar with that method of trim handling. Second, he insisted that the mill paid for the chutes, so they should get their money's worth. My reply was, let's try it anyway, because it's easy to do. I also hinted that anyone who had an idea that was easy to try and might work should be allowed to try that idea. Thankfully, because there's no guarantee anything like this is going to work, the results were an immediate runnability of the machine. The trim was taken away reliably and stably at speeds from thread to maximum design speed. Another result was quite heartening, and that is the maintenance manager apologized to me. This public acknowledgement of making a mistake is pretty rare in industry, so my respect for him grew considerably. As you should suspect, these learnings have nothing per se to do with trim chutes. There are at least two learnings from this story that are widely applicable. The first is, just because you buy it and pay for it does not mean that you should use it. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. It is common with gamblers. It is also common with people who are not familiar with economics that is always forward-facing when it comes to decision-making, rather than looking back at, well, I paid for it. The second is that we should all continually strive to be better listeners. Finally, if you are brave, admit that you were wrong and perhaps even apologize for it. I really hope that you've enjoyed this trim chute story. Stay tuned for next week's show, where we will begin to talk about instruments and why they should not necessarily be trusted until they are thoroughly and repeatedly examined. If you have a topic you would like to hear about, let me know in the comment section below. If you found any of these stories to be interesting or useful here, please like and share and subscribe. See you next time.